rookie deal. Our NFL insider Jonathan Jones reporting that it's a 4-year, $4.6 million deal. So Cleveland, if you remember, selected Shedeur in the 5th round of this year's draft with the 144th overall pick. He joins a pretty crowded quarterback room there in Cleveland that also includes Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Dillon Gabriel, and, of course, Deshaun Watson. So let's welcome on our lead NFL insider, Jonathan Jones, here to discuss a lot going on there in Cleveland, JJ, where OTAs are about to get underway. Shedeur signs that rookie deal, and now there's, 5 quarterbacks in that room on their roster. So what can you tell us about the latest of said quarterback room in Cleveland?
You know, I think we do first have to just address this off the top, that this is probably the first 5th-round rookie that we've come in with a breaking news saying that they signed their slotted rookie deal. But that's who Shedeur Sanders is, right? That is the fantastic personality that he is, and that's what made this draft pick all the more interesting. Of course, also is interesting because he was drafted 2 rounds after the Browns took Dillon Gabriel. Look, we talked about those 5 quarterbacks. Well, let's go ahead and put one off to the side. Deshaun Watson. He is very likely going to start the season on the physically unable to perform list. I have my doubts about whether he'll be able to play at all in the 2025 season. And in fact, many people I speak with believe he's probably played his last snap as a member of the Cleveland Browns. So that leaves you with 4 quarterbacks. It's the veteran Joe Flacco. It's Kenny Pickett that the Browns acquired for a 5th-round selection. And then it's the 2 rookies in Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. I believe that seeing the first-team reps, they're probably going to switch off between Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett. That's what they've been doing so far. The veteran Joe Flacco probably taking a couple of days off here and there just because, well, it's May and you can. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders should be taking every opportunity to take every single rep as they can. I mean, no days off for the rookies as they battle it out. And one day, one guy will get the number 3 team reps. The next day, the other guy will. And look, the further down you go down the depth chart, the more these practices turn from just jerseys and shirts and shorts to pads and helmets and really intense practices. The fewer team reps these guys are going to be allowed to get. So every rep, once you get into July, into August, is going to be incredibly important. But for right now, both of these guys, Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders, they're getting the feel of things. And then when we start to see these joint practices, these preseason games, and real team drills, the Browns offense going up against the Browns first team defense, the quarterback competition is very much going to reveal itself. And lastly, I'll just say this. I highly, highly, highly doubt that the Browns are going to have 4 quarterbacks on their roster, their 53-man roster, once week 1 gets here. I don't think they're going to cut Dillon Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders or risk them potentially being poached off the practice squad. And so that means what happens with a Kenny Pickett or a Joe Flacco? One of them may get traded, maybe a quarterback-needy team out there who would use a veteran. So we'll see how things wind up shaking out. It'll be up to these guys and how they perform on the field this summer to see who stays in Cleveland.
So, JJ, I know you're just talking about the 4 other quarterbacks and their future and what that could look like. But what about Deshaun Watson? Because, as mentioned, set to miss the entire 2025 season because of that Achilles tear. What do you think the future looks like for him beyond that?
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, right? First of all, it's all about his health. Very rarely do we see in the NFL someone tear their Achilles during recovery from a previous Achilles tear. And he's also had other injury concerns, that sort of mysterious back/shoulder injury that derailed part of his 2023 campaign. And so you've had a slip in play ever since his final season in Houston. You've had a number of injuries, significant injuries that have mounted. You have obviously the trade for, the acquisition of, and the contract to Deshaun Watson that has been panned publicly over the years. And lastly, of course, the couple dozen allegations of sexual misconduct that he was never charged with. Grand juries declined to indict him. Ultimately, will a team, if and when the Browns do part ways with Deshaun Watson after the 2025 season, will a team be willing to take him on? All of those questions will have to be answered by a team, or will we have seen the last of Deshaun Watson in the NFL? Certainly, he is working hard to get himself back into shape. We see the videos that he's been putting out there, but again, so much credit due to General Manager Harry Roseman and that front office there. But it's about how you can build off that. If they could make it to another Super Bowl after losing the one out in Glendale, Arizona to the Kansas City Chiefs. Very, very disappointing 2023. And there was a huge black cloud over Nick Sirianni in 2024. Let's not forget, Bill Belichick, he was taking his gap year. There was a lot of talk about who the next head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles could potentially be. And then they go 14-3. And that's a really great record, but you still don't get the first round bye. And so they had to rattle off 4 straight wins, convincingly win the Super Bowl. And really, at about halftime into the third quarter of that game, Nick Sirianni went ahead and locked up his contract extension, details of which have not yet been made public. Rarely do coaching contracts come out like that, but we could probably estimate industry standard would put him somewhere in the high teens. I doubt it gets to 20. Maybe it does, but high teens for someone in 4 years, has gone to 2 Super Bowls, has won 1, and will continue. Of course, the Eagles hope and expect to have that sort of success that they have enjoyed over these last 4 years.
Look, he's done a fantastic job, and when you do a job like Nick Sirianni's done, you get poached. From Harry Roseman, those assistants get poached. Jalen Hurts has to deal with yet another coordinator here. Kellen Moore's got a new job. What more can you tell us about the changes there on that side of things?
Yeah, so this is yet another offensive coordinator for Jalen Hurts, who seems like, I think almost for a whole decade, he's never gone consecutive years without a new offensive coordinator. We see right there, my goodness, that's hard on anyone. I will say this, though, on Kevin Patullo, who has been with the Eagles since Nick Sirianni got there in 2021. And talking with folks with Philadelphia, they say, yeah, you can flash this graphic, and yes, it is true, he is a different play caller in the ear of Jalen Hurts. Those are facts. However, when you understand context and nuance, you recognize that Kevin Patullo has been around Jalen Hurts almost the entirety of his NFL career. He has spoken to Jalen Hurts perhaps as much as any other coach not named Nick Sirianni over the last 5 years. They have schemed things up together. He was the pass game coordinator, so he understands all the passing concepts that Jalen Hurts likes, passing game concepts that Jalen Hurts doesn't like, that he doesn't succeed at. And so all of that is incredibly crucial, along with the fact that they still have Jeff Stoutland, one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL, who's also the run game coordinator, along with the fact that they have all-pro talent at multiple positions at receiver, along with the fact that they have the best running back in the game in Saquon Barkley, along with the fact that they have one of the highest paid coaches in the NFL, and they are the reigning Super Bowl champs. Not a lot of worry in Philly, Tommy.
What's the latest on the tush push this week?
Yeah, so the NFL team owners can potentially vote on a proposal that would ultimately ban the tush push. Green Bay's proposal has been on the table since March. It ultimately got tabled, one of those kind of